But the fact of the matter is, why is everybody just skirting the issue of the 2009 conference? The fact that Mr. Hamid Ansari was at the dais and the fact that the Pakistani journalist was there within a year of 26/11 when there were no bilateral ties between India and Pakistan. Nobody seems to be commenting on that.
We were playing cricket with Pakistan in
good evening, Navika. It's absolutely smashing debate, a wonderful debate, and I congratulate all my fellow panelists for making very many excellent points. But as to the points that I feel they have made that are suspect, please allow me to rebut them without interruption, because I have been waiting very patiently for my time. So let me start one by one. First with the good Dr. Raman, as to him saying, why would you believe someone who calls himself an ISI spy when he also believes in outlandish theory? Why, with that logic, why would anyone ever believes someone who believes in flying horses and man walking on water, or water turning to wine, or immaculate conception? I mean, these two things don't gel well. As to what Mr. Patra says, I agree with Dr. Raman that Mr. Patra has made a very serious allegation about research and analysis wing and the suspect role of Mr. Former Vice President in it. It has to be investigated, and just like Mr. Raman says, it has been 8 years. Dr. Patra, for him saying that these things take time, well, do they take 80 years or 800 years? If you can't do it in 8 years, what do you expect to do? Number 3, as far as Tehseen is concerned, of course, you are absolutely right. He's made a lot of whataboutery allegation. But can I please come to this topic, take a minute and then address Tehseen as well? Navika, I must say this, the matter is serious. And it must be investigated to its logical end, because it is a constitutional post. The second highest in terms of hierarchy, if I am not mistaken. And of course, it goes without saying that a man is innocent until proven guilty. The other thing, 2 things important that I have to say out here, that even though the matter is serious, the matter is not about the former Vice President meeting a Pakistani. No, it's not, because to be honest, Mr. Modi also met, the Prime Minister of Pakistan. It is about him in the same room, possibly meeting an ISI spy. If you remember, around the same time, there was a gentleman called Ghulam Nabi Fai. Do you remember him? You did a fantastic show on it, I remember. He met a lot of Indian journalists, Indian diplomats and Indian politicians. Later turned out that he was convicted in a US court for being an ISI spy. I remember he in fact tried to recruit Gautam Navlakha as well. So the other thing, also around the same time, Navika, you must remember, we entered into this absolutely crazy Sharm el-Sheikh agreement. So soon after the 28/11, we entered into an agreement with Pakistan where Pakistan extracts this statement from us that India will also not interfere into Baluchistan and terrorism out there, which was absolutely shameful. So yes, our government at that time was doing some really crazy things. But it has to be said that the matter, and unequivocally I say this, the matter is not about the religion of the former Vice President, as Tehseen, my good friend, is alleging. Because Ghulam Fai met a lot of non-Muslims and tried to recruit them as well. I don't care which faith the former Vice President belongs to, as long as his allegiance is first and foremost to India. But it also has to be said, Navika, just 30 seconds, that it is Mr. Ansari himself who repeatedly brings up his religion. Who can forget? He's coining the euphemism Dara Hua Musalman. Sheer genius on his part. All around us, all we see are Dara Hua Musalmans. From Jammu, where Dara Hua Musalmans are shouting from top of mosque that they will behead Nupur and all those who oppose Azan and Hijab, to Hubli, where Dara Hua Musalmans are pouring onto streets because some Hindu kid photoshopped a Bhagwa flag, from Aurangabad, where Dara Hua Musalmans are writing in the streets because someone Facebook post said Aurangzeb was a mass murderer, to Assam, where Dara Hua Musalmans are burning down police station. Everywhere you look, we see Mr. Ansari's Dara Hua Musalman. So thank you, Mr. Ansari, for being an oracle. And who can forget the man's antecedents for actually felicitating the PFI chief? So he comes with a baggage of history. But it is not about religion, it is about what he does. All that said,
absolutely,
I have to say this,
absolutely,
with all responsibility, that it is this government's responsibility to investigate this.
Absolutely.